What's up guys, this is Astranox. Welcome to my episode number 2 for my Arena Beginner's Guide. Thanks a lot to Smilegate for sponsoring this video. Now let's get right into it. In Arena, especially as a new player, you've got your offensive setup, your attack deck, and then you have your defense deck, your defense setup, right? You should be using the same 4 heroes or very close to the same 4 heroes for attacking and also for your defense. It's just going to be more efficient because you have a limited amount of resources when you start a new account. But they're throwing so much free gear at us. It's very, very easy to gear up a core of 4 heroes, especially to do player versus player, but also player versus environment. So that is very cool. Adventure Ras is the specialty change of Ras. You get him later on, and he is so powerful. You need to work on him, and you need to bring him in your team because he is just so good, right? Charlotte is my go-to girl selective summon. This hero, Charlotte, will be able to destroy the whole game, basically. You are setting yourself up for success when you go with Charlotte from selective summon. This hero is so tanky, and she keeps attacking everyone. She has attack buff when she gets hit. It's a ridiculous hero. You don't even need to build critical hit chance on her because as soon as she has a buff, she attacks everyone with the skill number 1, and she keeps on landing critical hits. It's amazing. It's amazing. Crazy amount of damage that you're able to do. You can just destroy so much pieces of content with this hero. You can literally bring her all over the place. Reroll of Light. This is my go-to girl for the Moonlight Blessing. And for the defensive setup, for a setup, a turn 2 team, a bruiser team they call, Reroll of Light is just tremendous, especially early on. It's just ridiculous what you're able to do with this hero. And you can see the way I have my heroes built, what kind of stats I go for. So you can follow the same strategy and you're going to be able to just take so much damage from the enemy. And then when it's going to be your time to go, you're going to be a force to be reckoned with. So Senya is not a hero that you can get easily, but I want to showcase her for you guys because she's Earth element. She's not fire like Charlotte. Different elements is what you want to go for damage dealers, right? And she's a knight. She's very hard to take down. Senya, she's also wearing Adamant Shield, and this artifact allows your team to just take less damage from critical hits, making your team that much more tanky, right? And I have Aureus on my knight. You can have any knight. In my case, I run Adventure Ras, and Aureus will make it so the rest of the allies of the knight wearing it have damage, a portion of the damage that they take redirected to that knight, right? So it's important to make that knight even more healthy with more health because he's going to be taking a lot of damage, especially versus a team that keeps on attacking your whole team, right? So a lot of times that knight wearing Aureus will get its health lower than the rest of your teammates, right? So you will have to focus on keeping him alive. Skill 2 of Reroll of Light. Saving your skill number 3 for if someone goes down as a backup. But Reroll of Light, she is able to heal a lot. And the great thing is that if you have any debuff on your hero, she can remove all those debuffs, all of them, and then she can heal them to pretty much full even with the skill number 2. But the skill number 3, she heals your ally back to full and give them invulnerability. So they cannot take damage until they go unless the buff is removed, right? But she can revive an ally that fell, right? And that is very good because that ally will come back with full health. It's ridiculous how powerful it is, and a lot of players are scared of Reroll of Light. So if you have Reroll of Light part of your team on your defense, a lot of players will just not attack you. If they see you have Reroll of Light with other heroes that are especially like tanky, like Charlotte, right? A knight with Aureus, like an obvious knight that is wearing Aureus, like Adventure Ras or other ones, right? It just makes it so you're going to be hard to deal with. And there's also that possibility that Reroll of Light survives, bring back someone, revive someone back to full health with the skill number 3. And that's not something players are willing to deal with often. And it also means a longer battle for them, right? Because if they're throwing all the damage at you and you're surviving all that damage, that means that, well, it's going to be your time to go. That's why we call this a turn 2 team, right? Because you're slower. The enemy do their thing, you know, their combo, they initialize, they push the combationist of their hero, they go back to back, they throw all their damage at you, If you survive this, that's it. It's your time to shine, it's your time to go, and you just start to pick them apart, and then it's a pretty quick win. You just gotta wait like maybe a few seconds, a minute until they do their whole thing, especially when you're climbing early on in the arena, in lower leagues. You're not even in Challenger yet. The battles are very easy. You can just keep on attacking teams that don't have a Soul Weaver, a healer. Because if they cannot heal, and they do all the damage against your team and you survive, well, you can just deal damage to them now, and they're not going to be able to bring their health back, which means they're just going to end up going down. You're going to win, right? So it's a very simple strategy that is very effective, very effective strategy. And as you can see, my team is extremely tanky. I went in there versus a team that has a Soul Weaver, a healer, Angelic Montmorency, you know, the healer that can heal the most per turn in a battle. Angelic Montmorency just heals for so much, right? Especially the faster she is, and she can keep on cleansing debuffs. So Angelic Montmorency is a hero that you can definitely build. You can do the specialty change of Montmorency. It will take more resources, more time. You have to grind the runes for all that, right? Reroll of Light, you just have her from Moonlight Blessing, and you can bring her all over the place. Adventure is going to be a piece of content that you're just going to progress a lot. You're going to spend so much time in there before you really push the hunt stages, before you start grinding your hunt stage 13. Here are the elements that are countering the other elements. You need to pause here and read that. If you didn't pay attention in my first video, maybe you didn't see it, you don't remember, you need to pay attention to that. You need to understand how that works. So Righteous Thief Roside, the specialty change of Roside, is a hero that you can use instead of Judith. Judith, my girl, my free-to-play hero that I love to use, that pushes the rest of the team so they can follow after her, and you can do your combo. You can have your heroes go back to back, and it's very powerful because you put your best speed on Judith, and you can initialize and get the turn number 1 and throw a lot of damage against the enemy. And not everyone's building a team like the one I just showed you, right? Like, not everyone is running a team that has a Knight with Aureus, a Reviver like Reroll of Light that is so tanky, a Charlotte. So it's not that popular, but it's so effective. I've shown you guys how powerful it is in my progression videos for my 5th account, guys. I'm a free-to-play player across 5 accounts. I have a lot of experience. The battle I just shown you, that was on my 5th account, right? And a lot of the gear that I'm wearing is like gear that I have since the first month of progression, right? So here, these heroes, you got Judith that goes first, initialize, then you got Rose that follow up, and then she pushes the combat chest again of your team and puts attack buff on your whole team. She's got Aurea, so that means your team's a bit more tanky, damage is redirected to her. So a lot of times if you facing an Arbiter Vildred, like you went first, your Arbiter Vildred might have taken out their Arbiter Vildred, and then he comes back and then deals damage to you. Rose will survive a lot of times. Judith will survive a lot of times because she was stealthed. And when you're stealthed, you take 50% less damage from area of attack, attacks that hits everyone, all your team. So she's going to be able to survive. And Arbiter Vildred, you know, if he didn't go down yet, maybe he goes down. Maybe he even survives the attack. So a very powerful right there. The skill number 2 of Rose actually gives a barrier to the ally of your choosing and give one for herself if you're using her exclusive equipment. It's very powerful. It's scaling based on her defense. So a lot of times you can survive with herself and one of your damage dealer and finish the enemy off because of that, right? Very strong stuff. Vildred from Selective Summon will allow you to do quick battles, right? In Adventure, all sorts of places in the game. You like quick battles. You don't like to wait. You want things to happen very fast. Vildred is the right hero for you. It's definitely a very high offense playstyle. He has Speed Imprint, which is very good to increase your chance to get turn number 1. So you get more Vildred later down the line. You get Unknown Slate. You can power his Imprint further because of those things, and you're going to get more speed. And having like your main combat units booster, like in my case Judith, or maybe it could be the Roside specialty change, right? Righteous Thief Roside, then you have just more speed on those heroes. Well, the rest of you, the whole team, right? Beside Vildred, and that means you're just gonna be going back to back, and you won't need to have that much speed on your heroes, and it's going to definitely help you out. Arbiter Vildred he just deals so much damage. With the skill number 3, he goes down, the skill 3 is up again, and he has 5 focus when he goes down and comes back. And when he has 5 focus, his skill 3 deals even more damage. Now you can soul burn for 10 souls the skill number 3 of Arbiter of Vildred, but also of Vildred. And that means you're going to be dealing even more damage. I mean, they're already dealing so much damage, and I'm just running my battles on auto, so no soul burn is happening. But if you're manualing, if you have the 10 souls, you're just going to deal that much more damage because of that, right? So as you can see, I've shown you guys the stats that I have on my heroes. You can follow the strategies, what to sort of like aim for on different pieces of gear. You want to balance your stats all across your, your character over all the gear that you have. But they're giving us so much free gear when you start off the game. Adventurous path is something you want to keep on following to progress fast and get a lot of rewards at the same time. But there's all sorts of like events going on. They're just a ridiculous amount of free gear that you can obtain, and it's just going to set you just perfectly. You're going to be able to run whichever playstyle that you want. You want it to be fast like this one, or you want to run a team like I've shown you before, like a slower team, Charlotte, healing, reviving. And to be honest, the Charlotte team is just going to be able to tackle so much more content way more easy. You can just auto so much content. You run it on auto, you don't even have to worry, and you're going to be able to push further down into the abyss. You're going to be able to just push further in adventure because you've got the perfect setup. You've got the healer, the reviver, the damage dealer that constantly attacks everyone, right? And your whole team is super tanky as well. So as you can see, the battle was very short. Sometimes, if you're facing a team that is sort of like running the same playstyle as yourself, a high offense team that doesn't have heroes built tanky, you're just going to, you get turn 1, you basically won. Unless they're running like a Politis. Politis, she can mess you up. You gotta be careful. You might have to avoid teams running Politis and or Celine. Together, that is very dangerous to go against if you're running heroes that use non-attack skill, because Judith's skill 3 is a non-attack skill, Roll's skill 3 is a non-attack skill. There's different ways to deal with these heroes. I can go more in depth in my other videos in this Arena Beginner's Guide, so I will have more episodes, so definitely stay tuned for those. But as you can see, I'm just running these battles on auto, guys, and you can see how much damage I'm dishing out to the enemy. It's very high. It's very high, considering the fact that Arbiter Vildred can go down and come back and have his turn and use the skill 3, probably with 10 souls. So that means you're going to soul burn it. It's going to deal tremendous damage. And when you're running like Judith, that pushes the combat strength of your team, and Rose, that does the same, you don't need to have almost any speed on your 2 damage dealers. So that means you will have more attack, more critical hit damage, and you're going to be hitting that much harder, right? Consider the fact that you might have soul burn, so even more damage when you soul burn skill 3. Arbiter Vildred, like with the guarantee skill number 3, when he comes back with full focus, that's a lot of damage. If you use a skill 3 twice because you got the turn number 1, and somehow the enemy survive, right, because they're very tanky, you're going to just deal so much damage. Like, they won't be able to survive it unless they have a lot of healing, they have like team-wide revive, they're just very tanky, they're just out-gearing you. They have better gear than you, but you won't have to encounter this until you reach into Challenger. And reaching Challenger, your mission has pretty much been completed. Like, when you reach Challenger, getting a nice amount of Sky Stones per week, you're set, basically. So yeah, let us know what you guys think about all that in the comment section. That's it for this one. I'm Astranox. Good luck with all ya do. Peace out for now, and stay tuned for my next episode.